Welcome to Season 3 of Digging Deep with Dr. Christie K. Thank you so much for being here and for choosing to spend a few moments of your day with me. These shows this season were thoughtfully curated with you in mind to inspire, challenge, encourage, and invite meaningful reflection around life, leadership, purpose, faith, and legacy. As you listen, I invite you to lean in, take what speaks to you, and allow the conversation to meet you right where you are. If today's episode resonates, please take a moment to like, share, and even subscribe. Your support helps these conversations reach others who may need them just as much. Now, let's dig deep together. Who would you become if we finally laid down the labels the world handed us? Who might we rise into if we stop performing for expectations that were never ours to carry? Today on Digging Deep, I'm joined by a woman who has dedicated her life to helping people reclaim the truth about who they are. Candice Elayne, transformational coach, author, and founder of Reframing with Candice. Candice teaches a powerful truth. You are not the sum total of your past. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are not limited by the labels others place on you. Identity is not something you inherit. It's something you activate. If you've ever felt boxed in, misunderstood, misnamed, or afraid to evolve, this conversation may be the permission slip your soul has been waiting for. Welcome to Digging Deep with Candice Elayne. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am absolutely wonderful.
What does absolutely wonderful mean?
Meaning I am happy, first and foremost, that I did some of the things that I've been telling myself to do. So I started my day off right. I am happy to be here, in addition to some other things that are coming down the pipeline. So I have no complaints. So this morning is absolutely wonderful.
I love that. And how's your baby girl?
She's doing amazing. She is doing amazing. She's a junior, and as of right now, she's making me a very proud mom.
That is so amazing. You know, being a proud mom just sets the tone for everything.
Yes.
Because with me having a baby in college and you have one on the way to college, I know that we've both experienced where we've woken up like, what are we going to do about our kids?
Correct.
Not making them bad kids. It may have been their decision or the environment that they were in, maybe at school. But I have found when my child is at peace, my life is more peaceful.
Absolutely.
So I just want to pause and just thank God for daughters who are on the right track and operating according to His will.
Absolutely. And the other reason I say she making me a proud mom is because, and I'm sure I can relate, there were so many times and moments where I didn't feel like I was doing enough, where I felt like I was disappointing her, where I wasn't present enough.
Yeah.
And so to now have the feeling that she's maturing and to know that to see some of the seeds that I've planted, I'm a very proud mom.
Yeah. And for those who are listening, maybe they are like, well, I'm not there, or they were there at one point and they're trying to get back there. What would be your advice to them on how to pivot from where they are right now?
So when it comes to parenting?
Yes.
So my first advice would be to give yourself grace, right? And to know that you can do all the great parenting that one has been told, but when kids are going to do what they want to do, they have their own personality, they have their own desires, and just trust the process. Trust that they're listening to the things that you're saying, in addition to be an advocate for them, because especially with teenagers, they need an advocate and they need a safe place.
Right.
So that I would say start there.
Perfect. And with being a mother and all the things comes with that, you have time to help others.
Absolutely.
So I want to say thank you, because motherhood is selfless. Making the conscious decision to step out on faith and help others is selfless as well.
Yes.
And with all of that, how do you take care of yourself?
So I will be transparent and say that's a struggle. That's one of the things I've been very intentional with this year, because it started to take a toll on my health. But I take care of myself by making sure I do the things that I enjoy, the things that make me happy, whether it be quiet time, sitting by water, making the food choices that I want instead of making sure that, hey, I'm picking the food choices for the people that I may be going out with. It's just the little bitty things that make me anchored and true to what I really want and how I want those things.
Okay. Now, specifically talking about how you help people, you help them reset their identity. But let's start with you. Okay. At what moment in your life made you realize that identity needed to be redefined?
Oh man, there's a couple of different things. So I'll first start when the self-awareness started. So I have been divorced twice. And within that second divorce, I took it pretty hard, not necessarily because of the divorce itself, but because I started questioning who I was. Was I not making the right decisions? What was wrong with me? Because I enjoyed being a wife. I enjoyed being a helpmate. So I went through divorce and separation care at my church to start the healing process. And that was transformational for me. And so after that, I then decided to become a leader, and I started leading divorce and separation care. And I did that for about 9 years. And what I realized in that process with divorcees or people separated, you come out thinking, who am I? What's my role? What do I do? And I've been there as well. But then I also realized that question is not limited to people who are just coming out of divorce. It is also people have that question when they are coming out of or going through major life transitions, because so many things and so much of what we do is tied to our identity. And so I decided, you know what? I want to expand my business not to just the divorcees, but other people going through life, which is why I decided to step into life coaching. In addition to personally, I had to question myself when I was trying to climb the corporate ladder, and then I got laid off. It's like, who am I now if I'm not this corporate baddie? When raising my daughter, and I was taking so much pride in spending time with her, but then I started to realize she didn't need me as much. So it's like, who am I when I'm not a mom? I prided myself of being a good steward financially, got screwed over a significant amount of money. Who am I now? So I've personally had a lot of situations that happen where I have to question, who am I? And what identity do I want to be associated with?
So those were a lot of precipitating factors that brought you here. Give me the moment where you went from not having the thought process of helping others to, I gotta do it. Like, did you wake up and it was revealed to you in a dream? Were you talking to someone and it clicked? Like, how did you know? No.
So it was with the divorce and separation care that it was in that process, my last year doing it was right before COVID, that I realized, you know what, I need this for myself and for other people, because people need to know there's life after divorce. People need to know you don't have to walk around with this negative halo. People need to know that just because life happens to you don't mean that you can't pivot and still live a fulfilled life. So it was in my last year of being a leader that I realized this is what I was made for. This is what God is calling me to do.
That is amazing. And there are so many people that get that pull and that unction and they ignore it because usually when the revelation comes, it comes in a space where I'm like, I don't even know how to pivot and go in that route, so let me just not do it.
Absolutely.
Not really calling people who don't make the step lazy, but it is a major mindset shift to go from not dedicating your life and your time to helping others to helping others and being transparent. Because you have to like lift up the veil and be fully transparent with people when it comes to helping them based on the experiences that you've had.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I would tell you, one of the biggest struggles I had, not outside of the limiting beliefs, I struggled with what I call leading with the limp, because for a long time it was like, how can I help people if I'm still struggling in this area or that area? Like, I don't want it to be considered a fraud or not authentic, because I value authenticity. And so you're absolutely right. Like, it took a huge mindset. And I believe in living in duality. I can help others as well as continue to help myself and get the help I need as well.
Leading with a limp.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yes.
Do you think it's impossible to not lead with a limp? Is there a way to get rid of that limp 100% and then lead? Or is there an aspect of a limp for all of us?
So honestly, if you're leading with a limp, that means you're not really growing. As long as you're growing, I believe that everyone leads with a limp, because each level of growth comes with its own obstacles. And it's not that we get used to, as you grow, you continue to gain the tools, resources to push through no matter what. So I believe that if it's not impossible as long as you're growing and doing something productive.
Okay. Now, with people who are called to lead, okay, most of them come from an environment where they have labels that have been placed on them that they necessarily didn't choose. The strong one, the fixer, the survivor, or the person who kept failing but getting back up again. What label do you believe silently harms people the most and keeps them from truly operating in their specific space?
So I'm gonna speak specifically about women for this answer, and I'm gonna say the strong one. I think that is a huge label that on the surface it seems like a crown, something you should wear with pride, but that is an Achilles heel. I love this saying, you can't read the label when you're inside the jar. Whoa. And that's important for so many different reasons.
Hold on. You cannot read the label when you're inside the jar. Correct. Please unpack that.
So that's a whole nother thing. But,
Okay, I'm sorry.
The short version of that is you can't identify your blind spots. Somebody else could have put this label on you while you're doing your thing. You may not even know. A lot of people operate from a place of their past and they don't even know. The label of the strong one, because you could have been the dependable one, you could have been the most financial, but you were just maybe helping someone out in their time of need. But you may not have wanted to be the strong one. Somebody put that label on you. Yeah. And a lot of times we operate from a limiting place to continue to satisfy what other people's expectations of us are. So yes, you can't see your own labels sometimes because you are so engulfed in the day-to-day of things. And so yes, when you're in the jar, you can't even see the label.
But see, even though we can't see the label, when we're in our quiet time, it's hard for me to believe, including myself, that we cannot feel the pain of people thinking that we're the strong ones.
Right.
Even though we accept it, because who am I to tell my mom or my grandmother, I'm not the strong one,
right,
to go against what they're telling everybody,
right,
or what has been told. But why do we tend to accept those labels and cling to them even though we know that they're hurting us?
Right. It depends, right? Everybody's different, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes it's from a place of insecurity. It's from a place of validation. It's a place sometimes from being wanted and needed. And sometimes people really do have a genuine heart. And the reality is we are typically the strong one, because most people, especially overachievers, we can get stuff done, right? It is usually the lack of boundaries that come with that becomes an issue. I feel like when people reach out to the strong ones, it makes sense because they're the most qualified, but it's the strong one's responsibility to put the boundaries in place, to be strong when and how it serves them, not everybody else.
And that's where you come into place, because people who are labeled strong by others those that are labeling them were probably labeled strong.
Correct.
And they're probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're probably then taking that responsibility off of them now that they're older. Let me find somebody else to take this responsibility, and they, hand it to them. How how does your process reframe with Candice? Is it reframe with Candice?
Yes, reframe with Candice.
How does that? How do you stop the cycle? Because
Sure.
I just see it going on and on and on. Because once I realized what was being done to me, I consciously told Kennedy about 3 years ago, listen, I don't believe in family secrets. I don't believe in you taking on more than what you feel that you're ready to take on. And you can always take it on and take it off, take it on and take it off. So I feel at that time, I saw what labels were doing to me and have done to me, and I stopped it. But how does your process, and when people come to you for help, how do you help them stop their process?
Right. So the first thing that I do is I do two things. One, we talk about our core values.
Okay.
And we look at the will of life, because most people just don't have enough self-awareness about where they are and even know that it's possible to either implement the boundaries or to pivot and do something different. And so that's important. When I do the core values exercise and I do the will of life exercise, that's important because it helps you get back in alignment. And when you're in alignment, you get so much clarity and your decision making gets so much better. So when someone asks, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Hey, do I have time for this? Am I sacrificing something for this? Is this in alignment with who I really want to be, where I'm trying to go? So again, it's like a decision tree, so to speak. So I help clients figure out what it is they want, where they want to go, and every single decision, including helping others, have to be in line with that. Otherwise, you're out of alignment and it's a chaos mentally. It really, really is. So I help my clients get in alignment and stay in alignment.
So when they sign up with you as a consultant for their a life coach, a life consultant,
right,
with Reframe with Candice, how long can they expect to be, under your guidance?
So the preferred option is 90 days, which is 3 months. But the reality is it's as long as they need it, because again, with that wheel of life, we first identify which area of your life would you like to see the most improvement. And once we get some traction with that, then they may move on to a different area of their life. So therefore, that means our time could be extended. But I like to start off most clients with 3 months, because 90 days is a good time period where you can see some traction as well as get some tools that you can continue to use throughout your life.
Okay. Let's shake this up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna play Would You Rather.
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather reinvent yourself every decade or stay the same forever, but never grow again?
Oh, I'm reinventing myself.
Why?
Because with reinventing yourself, you get exposed to different things. I can't tell you the power of growth. In addition to a lot of the things that I do, it is also to show for my daughter. My life is not just about me and the things that I do. And so by reinventing myself, it gives me hope. It gives me permission, as you mentioned earlier, to do different things, to become a better version of myself. So reinventing, it's a no-brainer for me. That's the one I would choose all day long.
And I was hoping you said that, because reinventing, some people don't want to do it. That's a lot of energy.
It is.
It's a lot of energy and it's a lot of time, and it would make you look inward a lot, which would potentially bring up a lot of old stuff, right?
Correct.
And again, not calling anybody lazy. It's just, would I rather go through these mental exercises or just continue on and figure it out as I go? I'm not really a fan of going back.
Correct.
However, it's important to know what's back there, not to revisit it emotionally, spiritually, and all of that, but to be able to quickly call it out, so that as you go forward, if you see those things, you're like, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, let me keep going.
That makes me so happy, Christy, because you'd be amazed how many people don't have that mindset. I'm so happy.
Oh, really?
I'm dead serious. I have conversations all the time, like the difference between a counselor, a therapist, a life coach, and what you just said is so key, because we're living and we're moving forward. So we should not have to continue to look back. Our past is a reference point, but we need to always look forward and focus on who we want to become.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't have that mindset, like you said, whether it be because they don't want to reinvent themselves. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I am amazed of how many people are not forward thinking.
Yes. And the wonderful thing I love about therapy and specific therapists, like my mom is an amazing therapist. Tori Dixon is an amazing therapist. I have amazing therapists that I know. I can't even name them all because I'm going to forget someone. But if, those of you who are listening want to know my list of therapists, just message me and I'll send them to you, right? But the great thing about those that I say are amazing is because they do just that. They allow reflection to be able to use the past as reference points. They don't take you all the way back for a year to redig your childhood and all the things. Now, it's a case-by-case basis, and I'm not in the room with them. However, watching their podcast and listening to them, they believe in forward thinking because we have less life in front of us, most of us, than we do behind us.
Correct.
And everything that's already been done has been done. So let's move forward,
Absolutely.
right? So, Candice, how does old labels and mindsets sabotage our decisions and relationships and the opportunities God tries to send our way?
I think the major reason is because most of us are still living based on who we were at 8, 10, 14, even like 22, but most of us are living from a place of things that either happened, mindsets or whatever from the past. And that limits us. And then when we do have certain labels, again, sometimes people want to live up to these labels because that's how they get attention. That's how they feel needed or wanted. And so again, that's limiting us because God could be wanting us to serve in such a much larger capacity. So holding on to labels, it's very crippling in so many different ways.
Yeah, and I've actually seen people sabotage their own success because the label felt more familiar than the possibility of moving away from it.
Absolutely, it comes with the fear of the unknown.
Yes,
but you're absolutely correct.
Yes, and I could say people do that, but I need to put myself in people. Because when I look back, because my mom's a therapist, so I've had a therapist my whole life. It's a blessing. I can't even say it's ever been a curse. It's been bad for me when I didn't want to listen. And I had to come back and be like, well, mama, you do this for a living and you tried to tell me, But I think about all of the decisions that I've made, because you've been divorced twice, I've been divorced twice, 3 times, okay? And I think about all the decisions I made, not just with the divorces, just in life.
Right.
Every time things got quiet and I wasn't leading someone or being the strong one or providing the guidance or all the labels that were placed, if I was not operating in those labels and life was quiet, I'm thinking I need to stir up something to get something going because I'm not being utilized the way I think that I should. Not knowing that God was quieting my environment, my life, so that he could tell me next steps. Now, he still told me next steps, but it was on the other side of the mess that I created myself. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that my 3 ex-husbands were the mess. I'm not saying that.
Right.
What I'm saying is that the decisions around those situations, some things with Kennedy, with my businesses, every single time I made a misstep, it was because I was not operating in the labels that I placed on myself or others placed on me, and I thought that I was not being utilized.
Right. No, I get that 100%. Especially if you found value in helping others. See, that's the downside about people who have a giving heart. But to me, it's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, while there could have been some missteps, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of learning and growing that came out of every situation, whether it be personally or business-wise. I am confident that there was some growth because it builds character. It has no choice but to build a character.
Thank you. I love how you did a spin on that.
Of course.
But it's true.
Absolutely.
It's true.
And I wish most people would look at life like that. Like, yes, life happens, but it's like, okay, now what? What did I learn from this? What can I avoid moving forward? And then what can I teach others too?
I love that. I love your thought process. We've known each other, 18 years now? As line sisters and as friends to each other on social media, because we don't really get a chance to get together as much as we would like. Our kids are close in age.
Yes.
And you've always had even when we were online, you had a positive outlook on everything. I was like, that girl is pretty dope.
Thank you. Thank you.
It could be the worst thing in life, and we gotta know Candice is gonna find a spin on it every time. So I really appreciate that about you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the comment. And then that's ultimately how the name Reframing Solution, my parent name of my company, came, because I'm a believer that, we don't have to do this full transformation. We can start by little steps. We can just reframe our mindset, do a little tweaking. That's all it takes, especially to get some momentum, to get the small wins. Let's just have a little bit of tweaking, but yes, do it in a positive way. Because like you said a moment ago, what has happened. So now what? And we can accomplish so much more when we look at life or certain things from a positive standpoint and the possibilities of what can happen instead of focusing on what did happen that was negative.
Absolutely. Now, listeners, I know that you are taking the time to be with us, and I appreciate it. And Candice, I know that the Lord is telling me right now, there are multiple people that are listening that are like, I hear everything, I can identify with everything that they're talking about, but I do not know how to reset. I'm here, I've been in this mode my entire adult life. I am now 30, 40, 50, 60. How in the world do I reset? How do I reframe the only life and lifestyle that I know? So tell us, everybody, what's the very first step someone must take to break free from an identity that they've outgrown or should have never had?
So for someone that's been like circling the drain or stuck or living a certain life and they want something different, the first thing I would tell them is let's not make it such a big task. Let's not look at it from the standpoint of resetting or redoing. Let's take a pause and ask yourself certain behaviors, certain mindsets, certain patterns. Are these the things that I really want to do? Are these the things that I've been doing for other people? Are these the things I'm doing from a place of trauma? Let's start there, asking, let's do like a self-inventory. The next thing is, let's go back to doing the things that you really enjoy. Like, what gives you peace? What gives you energy? Start there. Like, let's keep it very simple. Start doing the things that fuel you. Identify the things that drain you and start eliminating those things. So that would be the first step, like almost like a self-audit. We're gonna like start from the foundation and go from there.
Okay. So with that advice, which step do people avoid the most?
They avoid the self-audit because, as you mentioned earlier, when you do inward, you have to accept some decisions that you've made. You have to accept certain things that was done and said that was like buried or smothered or not identified. So most people don't want to deal with those things because they don't either know how, they don't allow themselves to feel it, but most people don't do the self-audit that's needed to start growing and pivoting and changing their identity.
Because I would say I've dealt with that before. And the reason why I didn't want to do it is because I'm like, okay, what's on the other side of this audit? Will it bring up anybody in my life that caused me to be in the space that I've been in? Because I love my family and friends so much. I never want to, even if I never tell them how I feel, I never want to have like, I can't believe they did me like this.
Right.
Sometimes you just want to live in denial, like whatever, but it's important to understand the roles that people play in your life so you can determine where they should fit moving forward according to how you prefer to live, right?
Absolutely. And I've experienced that too. For a very long time, my business and everything was private, so to speak, because I didn't know how to tell my story without involving other people. And that was very difficult for me because, I've experienced hurt and pain from family, friends, exes, and it's almost like I was still indirectly protecting them.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn that, for one, I'm the CEO of my life. This is my life, my story. This is my experience. And I can frame it and speak to it where, again, it's not necessarily about bashing or even exposing all the nasty details. It's more about highlighting, maybe what happened and how I got through it. But I've learned to reframe and tell my story where it's still about me and not necessarily about everybody else. But it was very difficult for a very long time, because it's like, for instance, let's say like with my ex-husband, it was hard to talk about the divorce publicly because I still have a daughter. There are certain things in my marriage that my daughter has no idea about. She shouldn't. And while I would never get into to some details, for a long time, I didn't even want my daughter to have certain questions. But at the end of the day, that's life. And again, I've taken ownership of my growth and my own story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I would also say, because there are women and really men that are listening that have had to face the conversation with their children of divorce. Like, do I want them walking around having a false narrative of me and their mother or father, just so that when they get out there, they will make the same mistakes? So I'll say, for me, with Kennedy, her dad and I divorced before she was 2. Because I was of the mindset, this is not gonna work. I would rather her not know you to be in the house than for you to be in the house and then you to be leaving and all the things, because I'd seen so many other people. Like, my dad was in the house for the first 6 years of my life, and then he left and it left me. I'm like, well, if she never knew that you were here, then it will always be a co-parenting situation.
Correct.
Fast forwarding, I realized like her junior year in high school, she had no idea why her father and I didn't work out. So she was like drumming up all these things in her head based on, what happened with her friends. Like, I finally overheard her telling a friend, well, I don't know if my dad was abusive or if my mama cheated or if my daddy cheated. And I'm like, oh, hold up. I have got to stop this.
Right.
So I had to have a very transparent conversation with her. Like, listen, your father and I were like the best of friends who thought, oh, we're best friends, so let's get married.
Right.
Not realizing that just because you're friends with somebody and y'all click, it does not mean that you're supposed to get married. So it was just one of those things where we were better off friends than husband and wife, and we've been amazing co-parents. Having that one conversation with Kennedy literally unlocked her mind and healed a lot of wounds I didn't even know she had.
Yeah.
Because I was so busy walking around carrying the label of, I'm the strong co-parent, I'm the guardian, she's with me 90% of the time because I was the main parent. Her dad, was in another city.
Right.
Not knowing that I literally healed my child by having a transparent conversation with her. Now, did I give her the nit and gritty and the nuts and bolts? No.
Of course.
Because really, unless she asks, it's really none of her business.
Correct.
That's for her father and I to decide what we're gonna let her know. But for her to know the foundation of why it happened completely unlocked the doors. And then I realized the only reason why I hadn't told her, even though I had healed from it, I had healed up from it, moved on, another relationship, I had not told her because I didn't know how it was gonna make me or him look.
Absolutely.
To her detriment.
Yep.
And so I say all that to say, my testimony is, once you rip off the Band-Aid, it is off.
Yes.
Candice and I are not saying, those of you who are listening, that you have to just spill the beans and tell all the gory details.
Not at all.
But there are people in your life that are closest to you that are forming narratives according to a story that you have not told.
Correct.
Because you are afraid to tell them because of the labels that have been put on you, because how vulnerable it's gonna make you feel. And that's how people go to their grave, creating cycles, generational curses, and look 30 years back and realize it wasn't even what they thought it was.
Absolutely. Chrissy, you are saying a word today. That is so true. And from a financial and business standpoint, sometimes it can cost you money. And what I mean by that, my particular story from that perspective is, so my first marriage was before my daughter. So my daughter didn't know that I was married before her father. And I kept telling my daughter, babe, your mom had a whole life before your dad, because growing up for a kid, it's like mom and dad, that's it. They don't think or realize, hey, we could have been with other people, let alone married. So I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her till she was 15 years old.
Whoa.
My daughter had no idea. I didn't know, like, how to have that conversation, what was going to come of it. Like, it was all in my head. And there are certain things, like I said, that I wouldn't talk about publicly, that I wouldn't do, because now in the world of social media and the internet, I realize any and everything I do, I have to be mindful my daughter may see one day. And I realized it came to a point where I needed to share this with her, because if I'm talking about life after divorce and I talk about these 2 divorces, that she needs to know about this. And so I had all of this angst. And when I told her, she didn't even care. She didn't even care. Now, the flip side to that was, as I'm being transparent with her about, hey, you know, I was married before, it didn't work out. She then took that opportunity to be like, okay, so then what happened between you and dad? And it's like, hold up. As I've always told you, we just had an argument we couldn't come back from. And that's been the consistency that I've told her in reference to us. But the point is, it freed me. Yes. But to know that if I would have told her when she was like 5, 6, I could have been out telling my story long before now, and I didn't. All because I was in my head and I was worried about what she would think and how she would feel, and she could care less. She could care less.
How did you prepare yourself spiritually for that conversation with her?
Yeah, so the spiritual part has been consistent, because I will tell you, when I was going through divorce and I was disappointed in myself, I'll never forget the moment I was at church and the Lord spoke through the pastor. And on that day, he said, while God does not like divorce, he still loves the divorcee.
Wow.
And it freed me.
Oh my gosh.
Because it reminded me, I'm still a child of God. God is still going to take care of me as an individual, right? And so I constantly remind myself, so speaking from a spiritual standpoint, I constantly remind myself of that in a lot of different areas. God still loves me regardless of what I do, regardless of the label, regardless of the failure. He still loves me.
Yes.
And so with that, that gave me the strength, because regardless of how she would have taken it or felt, at the end of the day, this was my life. And like I said, I've always told her, I had a life prior to you, and regardless of how she felt, God still loves me. And he gonna still take care of me, even if you don't approve, even, you know, whoever has something to say. And it's a reminder that I have to always tell myself, he loves me no matter what.
No matter what. God does not like divorce, but he loves
them.
He loves a divorcee.
Yes.
Y'all hear that? He may not like our decisions, but he will always love us.
Always.
He'll never leave nor forsake us, no matter what decisions that we make.
No matter what.
Wow. How does reconnecting with God shift a person's identity at the deepest level?
So it is my belief, with the reconnection with God, I think through word and prayer, God can remind people to not carry so much guilt. And when you don't carry the guilt, it frees you up to carry other things, whether it be the joy and the excitement of something new. With reconnecting with God, you know, it reminds us of the grace that he gives us, and we should give ourselves as well as other people. And then, like, to just know, I mean, think about it, Christy. Think about how you would show up if every day you know God is standing right next to you. How would you show up in rooms?
My goodness.
How would you show up on calls? How would you continue to serve, you know, your do you call them clients?
Families.
How do you, think about how you would serve your families, knowing that he's with you, knowing that you're doing this in excellence, knowing that you're doing this to please him. So reconnecting with God, it revitalizes our identity and recreate new ones on so many different levels.
Girl, I am speechless right now, because in my mind, I know that God is always with me. However, with you saying that, just really pulls it like to my face. How dare you doubt what God has placed in you? How dare we not listen to what he wants us to do, knowing that he promises to never leave nor forsake us? So if we just grab his hand and walk down the path that he has laid for us and live in his will as consistently as we possibly can, we know that everything is going to work out.
Absolutely. And so many of us keep, in my opinion, so many of us keep God in our head and our hearts. But what if we extend our hand out and allow him to appear physically with us and say, Lord, walk with me. And we do the motion and we embrace him as we walk into different rooms, as we go into certain situations. I feel like that allows you to feel his presence even more.
Yes. It sounds to me that everything that we're talking about, when we get to the end of it, your process, reframing with Candice, is about fully reinventing yourself.
So I want to tweak that a little bit. Not only are we reinventing, we are rediscovering who we already are. Because again, I know that there's transformation. I know there could be reinvention. But I like people to tap into their inner superpower, tap into the things that you have suppressed. Again, it's hard to be, because you have to be careful with having people be something they've never known. And so I like to have my clients be confident with who they already are, and then start focusing on who they want to become. So it's double. So yes, I absolutely help them reinvent, but the foundation piece is to rediscover who you are. And let's foundationally, let's talk about who you like, the things that you like and what you want to do before we start focusing on who you're becoming.
Okay. So once people rediscover, and that actually makes more sense instead of reinventing, because we are who we are.
Absolutely.
We were fearfully and wonderfully made at conception.
Correct.
It's just a matter of life has caused us to ebb and flow and to move away from who God has already innately made us to be.
Correct. And if we, let's say, create a path or a plan to become something different, if you haven't addressed these things that are hindering you, those things are going to follow you. So that's why it's important to rediscover and have a strong foundation, because otherwise certain bad habits, bad mindsets, bad patterns are going to continue to follow you, and we need to disrupt that and get off of autopilot.
Get off of autopilot.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you rather have unlimited confidence or unlimited clarity?
Unlimited clarity all day long.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna be honest, Christy, if I have too much confidence, I can't always control that ego. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what I would do with unlimited confidence. I'm just gonna keep it 100. But with unlimited clarity, I feel like automatically comes with confidence. With unlimited clarity, I'm able to make decisions that serve me. Unlimited clarity, it just gives me a better feeling. And I hear clarity, I think of wisdom. Yeah, that confidence things, it can be tricky if you have too much of it, in my opinion. So I'll take unlimited clarity all day long.
Okay. All right. For the listener who feels lost,
Yes,
mislabeled, or stuck between who they were and who they want to be,
yes,
I want you to take as much time as you prefer right now and say to them how they can start trusting themselves again to get to where God has called them to be.
I would definitely tell the listener, first and foremost, you're not alone. You're likely not broken. It is not too late to pivot. It is not too late to start over. Most of the things are probably from a place of misalignment, and the beauty and the good news about being misaligned is that it's fixable. I would encourage the listeners to identify their core values, like take self-inventory, self-audit. about what you've been doing, and does it really serve you? Is it from a place of these are the things that you want? I would tell the listener that they can make choices and decisions that could change the trajectory of their life. They just have to give themselves permission to.
Lord, we thank you for calling us by name, not by our labels, not by our failures, not by our past. Help us release every identity that was never ours to carry. Restore our confidence, renew our minds, and reveal who we are in you. Give us courage to evolve. Give us boldness to walk into a next season unmasked. And give us wisdom to build legacy from a place of wholeness, not fear. Lord, bless Candice and every listener ready to reset, reframe, and rise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Family, Candice reminded us today that identity is not a prison, it's a platform. It is not fixed, it is fluid. It is not dictated, it is discovered. Labels are loud, but purpose whispers. And when you finally quiet the noise of your past, you could hear what God has been saying about you all along. If you take nothing else from this conversation, take this. You have permission to become. Your identity can be reset. Your story can be reframed. And your legacy can begin today, right where you are. Thank you, Candice, for helping us remember that the most powerful thing we can ever do is tell the truth about who we really are. God bless you.
Thank you, Christie.
Thank you so much for listening to Digging Deep with Dr. Christie K. It is my sincere prayer that something you heard today sparked clarity, encouraged your heart, and inspired you to move forward with intention. If this episode impacted you, I encourage you to like, share, and leave a review. Your engagement helps us to continue to grow and create meaningful conversations that matter. Until next time, live well, lead with purpose, and continue to dig.